Hello, and welcome to Unsheathed with your hosts, Kyle Gold and Cam Hirosaki. We hope that you enjoy the program. Please stick around afterwards. There'll be cake and blowjobs.
Hi, welcome to Unsheathed number 77. I am only slightly sniffly Kyle Gold.
That's what she said. That doesn't follow
Doesn't
at all.
work at all. No, I picked the one epithet that you could not use that after.
I am non sequitur Cam Hirosaki.
And joining us in our discreet mountain location is our special guest.
I'm Blender. Nice to be here.
Hey, Blender.
We finally roped you in.
Nice to have you here.
Damn it. That's what she said.
But how can you expect me to perform when he is so late on his cues?
At least I'm not stepping on your cues.
No, that would be rude.
Suit up.
So we are, yes, we've added a new television show to have inside jokes from, which will, I'm sure, amuse and amaze all of y'all now. So we are back here in the Secure Mountain bunker location for the first time in, I just estimated on Twitter 7 weeks, but it might be longer than that actually, because we've been back from our travels for 2 weeks and we haven't recorded here.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Because I don't.
The last time we recorded was early March, I think.
I think we recorded like on a weeknight one time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say
It was
been
like the second week of March.
It's been maybe about a month, a little over a month, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it feels like a long time because Kit and I have been just on the road constantly. I don't know how some of those other famous authors do it, but we've been to Furry Fiesta in Dallas, which was awesome. We went up to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, which was also awesome. We came back here, went to FogCon in San Francisco, which you accompanied us on that one. We went out to FWA in Atlanta, which I think I've talked about.
Yep.
And we went to New York City for a book signing.
Actually, in episode 76, you have not yet gone to FWA.
Right. But I talked about FWA and the New York trip in the Lost episode.
Yes. We have an actual Lost episode now.
Yes. Which we kept promising to recreate, but I don't think we're doing that tonight. So, in brief...
Stuff happened. There were nerds.
Yeah. In brief, live show at Furry Fiesta was great. Furry Fiesta was the con where I found out that 2 mothers of fans have been reading my books and met one of them. That is becoming a more and more common trend in the fandom that I'm seeing is like meeting people's moms. Actually, we were on Don Ryu's live stream and his mom came on the live stream.
I want to meet Don Ryu's mom.
She sounds awesome, actually.
I bet she does. That's why.
She sounds as awesome as he is, which is really entertaining. So, yeah.
The mother of Brosiadin. God of the Broshin.
And it's just been a month of meeting just a whole bunch of different people. So, Furry Fiesta and FWA, we met all kinds of amazingly wonderful furries. New York City, we met a bunch of furries and also an astronaut.
Yeah, and I made an awesome Fredo joke from The Godfather, and that has been lost to the mists of time as well.
We can just claim all kinds of awesomeness from the WonderCon show.
Yeah, I did make an awesome Fredo joke, though.
You did. And
now I'm just like imagining how many of our listeners are going, Fredo, what?
And we've been to
Doesn't he mean Frodo? No, I don't.
To Comic Cons, which are also a lot of fun and make us really look forward to this summer down in San Diego. The Soulful products continue to gain an audience at the Comic Cons.
Maybe you'll get singled out by Penny Arcade again.
Maybe. Well, he did promise to come back and
Gay
buy
Fox
something.
Castle Sex.
Yeah, I'm going to try to push him on Gay Fox football sex, but we'll see how it goes. And let's see.
There's otters too.
Depending on how quickly this gets edited, you may still be able to vote for the Ursa Majors by the time this is posted. It closes April 17th.
Is it 17th or the 15th?
It is the 17th, I'm pretty sure, because it encompasses the weekend, so it's like the end of the weekend.
If not, thank you for having voted.
Yes. And if it is the 15th, then thank you for having voted, because I don't think this will be up by now.
Shame for your not having voted.
But we have a letter so that we can talk about that. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Otherwise, since we got back, I've been working on my 2 projects. My one, which is kind of my secret project that I acquired, my new secret project, which I acquired during my travels. One of those things where I realized I had an opportunity and a setting, and I tend to work well when I'm given parameters to write a story in. Like, it has to be blah and blah, and then I'm like, okay, well, I have to think of something that fits that, and then I write. So, but also working on my Collations novel, which I'm very happy about. I managed to stretch out the first half into a kind of a proper book. I have to write 2 whole new chapters for it, but I think I can do that. And
I think you can too.
Work's been going pretty well on it this week, so I'm encouraged. So, Cam, what have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. I posted 2 new stories over the month of March.
Yay!
Which, by the time this episode comes out, you should hopefully have read. If not, you should read them because they've been getting good response. And I am slowly but surely educating the furry fandom on what caca missiles are. I write about them all the time, but whenever I do, people are so confused, and I blame it on people not being gray muzzles who aren't old enough to remember Chester.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Chester was ever referred to as a caca missile specifically.
No, that's true.
I remember him just being Chester the Ringtail. Yeah.
His last name is McGreer. A lot of people don't remember that.
And there you go. That's your gray muzzle moment. Blender, what have you been up to?
Well, I actually just got done shooting a music video with Coulson, which turned out really well. I still can't believe we shot that on Saturday, but it was. Which this is obviously going to be posted much later than we're recording, but that was only a couple days ago, and so it was a pretty quick turnaround time. But that was fun.
And where can people find that?
Well, it could be on. It's on YouTube. Well, if you follow Coulson on FA, he posted it to his gallery, but it's youtube.com/ I don't know if he wants the
his YouTube account's under his real name.
Yeah, it's under his real name. I don't know if he wants us to do that.
So if it's,
he links to it through his FA though.
Yeah, his FA name is Coulson.
Sure,
so,
yeah, and
people
he's
know
got
him
all
on
the
our
stuff on there,
podcast.
and I also linked to it on my own FA account. So you could definitely check it out there.
And your FA account is just Blender.
Just Blender.
Okay.
Very simple.
Like the appliance.
Like the appliance, apparently.
Or the marker type.
Sure.
Or the Photoshop tool.
Yeah.
Indeed. Aside from that, I've just been kind of working on. It's sort of it's my own secret project, but I have a little animation, kind of a short film that I've just started pre-production on with a friend of mine who's an animator. I don't know if I want to go into too much detail yet, but
it wouldn't be a secret project anymore.
I know exactly, and so, but I kind of. We're collaborating on the characters, and I'm probably going to do the voices and stuff. So that's always a lot of fun because I like to do
very cool
acting and that kind of thing. So
Kyle and I learned last night that everyone has secret projects.
Everyone has secret projects.
Yeah. We were at a read and / signing of a couple of authors, like New York Times best-selling authors, and people were asking them, "Oh, what are you working on now?" And they're like, "Well, I'm working on the sequel to this, and then I'm working on this secret project, and I can't talk about it." And we were like, "Other people have secret projects. It's not just us."
It's exciting.
And they were like, "It's so important to have, like a peer editing partner?"
Yeah, someone you can bounce stuff off of.
Yeah, then me and Kyle just sort of leaned against each other out there in our chairs, and we were like, "Ah." It was super.
But yeah, I also recently, had. I spent some time with the Sofa Wolf guys at WonderCon, which there it is. So,
what's going on with our producer Wolf over there? He's supposed to keep an atmosphere of quiet.
But that was fun. I posted a little video about WonderCon on my FA if you guys want to check that out. But they wouldn't let me in. It was crazy. I texted KM and I'm like, hey, they're sold out of tickets. Like you go to their website and it says tickets are sold out for Saturday. And at first, when they did let me in, and I was like, well, maybe I read that wrong. No, I did not read that wrong. It was a web of lies. But But so I made this video of like attempting to sneak into the Moscone Center, and they caught me. But it turns out that they actually did still have tickets available. So it was like no big deal. They're like, oh, it's $25, and it was like so anticlimactic. But so I didn't get kicked out. But actually, the following morning after I posted the video, my mom calls me. She's like, "Were you arrested?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I could post YouTube videos from my jail cell." So I think it's safe to say that I'm not. I did a little cliffhanger. So it was a 2-part episode, and in the second episode, I revealed that I was not arrested, that I just got into the Moscone Center. But that was fun. No, I'm not going to lie. I was probably most excited to see the Power Rangers there. That was very exciting for me.
Wow!
Not just any Power Ranger, but Tommy the Green Ranger was there. And
do they still have power? They must be like in their 30s by now.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They had their costumes on, so you couldn't really tell.
Trini died in a car accident. It was very sad. The original Yellow Ranger.
The actress did?
Yeah. You didn't know that? Yeah.
No.
It was like a couple of years after the show, too.
I know the Blue Ranger's gay, which is kind of nice.
Oh, yeah, and then he had like this like heartbreaking story about it, too.
But yeah.
But yeah, no, it was like Thu Tran or whatever her name is. But yeah, she was like, it was like near Bakersfield. It was down in SoCal, and like she like got in like, I think it was on like Route 5, and
oh my gosh,
she like died in a car accident. It was, yeah.
Dear listeners, I'm as confused as you are.
But yeah, the Tommy the Green Ranger, he was my boyfriend when I was a kid. Just
everyone loved Tommy because he was the bad boy.
Yeah, I know, right? And then we just turned into the White Ranger.
He came in and like messed everything up.
I know, but when he was the White Ranger, he was a pussy. Like he was, it was like when he was the Green Ranger, he had like this kind of still the evil part of him, right? And he would lose control of himself, and that was very exciting.
Plus, like the White Ranger had that like gay vest sash thing.
He did have the Tiger Zord, though.
Oh yeah,
but the Green Ranger had the Dragon Zord.
There's a lesson to your readers in there: make your characters unpredictable and not good all the time. Yeah. And that makes them more interesting and attractive, apparently, to adolescent boys watching your show.
Also, I want to recast Rita Repulsa as being played by Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj, and I second that. Yeah. I approve of Nicki Minaj playing Rita Repulsa. Because that's what a motherfucking monster do.
Thank you.
Haters, you can kill yourself.
Well, we're very glad you did make it into WonderCon. WonderCon was kind of crazy. We actually, the part of the podcast that we recorded, Cam and I could hear each other, but nobody outside the booth could hear us.
We were in our little cone of silence.
Oh, actually, it was a cone of noise. But it was pretty crazy. There were a ton of people, and Sofol got a real good location, and I believe they did pretty well there, sales-wise. So it was exciting to be a part of that. And for some reason, most of the stuff that was mine that sold in like a little flurry of books on the last morning. Like Sunday morning, I sold like 4 or 5 of my books, and nice. that was all my sales, except for a couple. But
I got to sign a copy of Bridges.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
was Zia there?
No. Actually, I think it was for Fraudus.
Oh.
But he's like, and I'm like, I think this is the first time I've signed a copy of Bridges. And he's like, really? I'm surprised. And I'm like, why would you be surprised that I've never signed a book that I didn't write?
Maybe he knows Zia.
Hi, Zia.
Anyway,
did you guys get so you lost the whole episode? You didn't get the questions or anything?
We got the crowd questions.
Oh, you did get the crowd
questions. Because it was right
that was the
when
part I was relieved that you didn't get, but now that you did get it, I was like, oh, okay.
You can hear
what happened
again.
What happened was
whatever episode that comes out on.
We talked for like half an hour, and then the machine froze up, and so we basically reset it and started again, and then saved it after a few questions after about 20 minutes. So we have those, but we just don't have the first half hour.
Like, you would think that, you're recording a podcast, I should bring questions, but I totally didn't, so they were stupid questions.
Oh, it's okay. We never prepare for our podcast either.
I just pick up a glass of wine and go, what did people write in about this time?
Yeah.
Oh, you again.
Speaking of, so apparently I hadn't logged into the podcast for like over a month.
Well, you weren't here for over a month.
Because there were like 36 new emails, so I foresee a lightning round in our future, in our near future.
I'm good with that. I love lightning round.
I
Last
had a-
time was a blast.
I know, we had a great time with it. We'll have to get in our Weasel stopwatch again. Stopwatch Woozle, is that what he was called?
I think he was Helper Woozle at WonderCon, and I think he was just Stopwatch Weasel.
During the
Stopwatch Weasel is like begging to be made into like a bad 80s pop song, like one of those novelty singles.
I was thinking of him as like a superhero.
Oh, wow. Sorry.
Anyway, we had to pick a few letters, so I gave myself the short ones that are not going to engender a lot of discussion.
That's what she said. Sorry.
No. Sorry,
No!
I gave you the good one.
No! Yeah, but you forced me to take the good one.
See, that's what she said.
Good night, everyone. We've been unsheathed.
But not anymore.
Oh! Ouch!
Hello, Sheathers. It's Theorian once more, and this time I've written in with a thank you. Recently, Kyle spoke about Circlet Press and a story you submitted to them, after which I checked out their website and decided to keep an eye on their call for submissions. Recently, I sent in a story for the erotic tales of angels and demons, like heaven and hell, and to my utmost surprise, my story was accepted. Therefore, I must say thank you, for this would be my first story published. Congratulations, Theorian.
Congratulations.
And
I hope our advice helped.
Circlet Press have been really cool to deal with. I liked their anthology that my story appeared in. I'm certainly kind of keeping an eye out and seeing if there's anything else that they'd be doing that I was interested in.
I want to write about demon sex. I have a story idea percolating in the back of my brain.
You should.
Maybe I'll listen to some Nicki Minaj to inspire me.
Really?
Because Giuseppe's a monster shoe.
My stack
So
of
that was just a
porn
congratulations.
novels is so big my Barbie's
That
going
was
to
a
climb
that
it.
was a little congratulations. And the second letter is a congratulations to us, or me, I suppose.
Mostly you.
Dear Sheathers, congratulations, Kyle, on your Ursa nominations. Though it comes as no surprise to you, it must. That's me saying to you, to the letter writer. It's always a surprise to me. It must be a great high to see yourself on this and other lists of accolade and praise for your work. KM, I'd place good bets on Summerhill seeing the same type of honors bestowed on it for its 2000 XX release. You can fill in the
2012.
dates later.
Like the Roland Emmerich movie.
This does bring up a curious quandary, though. As I saw those nominations, my immediate reaction was, 1 year I too will perch amongst those glorious ranks. But doubt seeped in. Though it may be a byproduct of what I do and enjoy, is that really why I write? Though I know you've both touched on it at times before, is this why you write? For you, does a nomination or a fabulous review or an award make you win at writing? Your committed, canid, caught in copious quagmires of communicative quid pro quo, Candrel.
Hey, that doesn't mean blowjob.
It could. Quid pro blow.
Oh, you're fired.
Now, see, that's how you should rewrite sake of argument.
No, I'm not rewriting a story I wrote 10 years ago.
I'm just going
Go
to
to
harass
hell.
you about it now.
No, you're not. Harass me to write things that I'm trying to work on now, not things that I already wrote.
I do that already.
And there were pictures even.
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know.
No, it's not why we write, but it does always feel good, and I do mention this. Just being considered amongst the works that people feel are worthy of an award is always real nice because, contrary to what you say about things being no surprise, it doesn't always happen. I had a couple other short fiction works out this year that did not get nominated. I've had years in which stories were nominated and didn't win, so it's there's always that element of, hey, that's really cool. People do actually like this. And my experience in the past has been that I can sort of tell people to vote a certain way, and they don't listen to me. And
Yeah.
I think I've said that before, too. I tell people to vote for one thing or another, and, they might vote for a story of mine, but it won't be the one that I told them to. And,
Or hey,
last year or the year
vote
before.
for Bridges as a novel.
Right.
Oh, wait.
Well, there I think people did vote for it as a novel, and it was the Ursa committee that moved it. but
Well,
I have not gotten confirmation.
The
on
Ursa
that.
website already had Bridges in the short fiction category, so people who were nominating it and using that as their guideline probably just kept it there.
I suspect they just kind of tallied
Nah.
all the votes for it in the two categories and then moved it into the one they thought it fit. Which is funny because, as I've said before, it does not fit in the category that they put it in according to their explicit guidelines that they write along with the category header. But that's all right. It fits the spirit of the category, if not the letter of it. So.
Also, to address your last point there, Candrel, the only person who needs to win at their hobbies is Charlie Sheen, so I think you're safe.
What about you, Blender? How do you feel about awards and nominations and recognition and
Well,
stuff?
I do. It's funny. I have discussions a lot because, I'm a big, movies are kind of my thing, and I love watching the Oscars. And for me, it's like a big deal every time. It's Oscar season. Which ones are going to be nominated and all this. And other people are like, well, it's so played up, or it's so but I don't know. I think there is something to be said about. Just the recognition. It does, even in smaller circles like the Ursa Majors, there are some politics involved, and it's like it's not always necessarily the ones who quote unquote deserve it, but it's all subjective anyway. Really, I mean, it's just. But speaking from an artistic perspective, when you're nominated for something or when you win an award for something, it does give you the encouragement that maybe I kind of I'm on the right track.
You're doing something right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't discount that, but at the same time, I don't know that should be the motivation for you to do anything. In terms of it should be A, for yourself, and then B, for I guess your audience. And just kind of looking at it from that perspective, and not so much just about to win an award.
From one of the shows that I've recently picked up, The Closer, Kara Sedgwick had been nominated for an Emmy like 4 or 5 years in a row. I think it was 4 years in a row, and she finally won this last year. And her speech afterwards was very amusing because she's like, you've been nominated so many years, and it starts to get to a point where I'm like, well, this isn't really why I'm doing the work, and, look at all the great people who've been nominated and never won, like Martin Sheen never won for The West Wing, and you start to look and say, my performance is not
Susan
defined
Lucci.
by the award. She finally won, I think.
Oh, did she?
I think she finally won, like, her 16th try or something like that, because I remember people being like, whoa.
Meryl Streep had a big streak where she kept getting nominated. But she'd already won before.
She won 2 real early on,
Yeah.
and then she didn't
Sophie's
win like
Choice, right?
15. I think she has not won since then. I think it's been like 15, 16 in a row.
Wow.
She's almost always nominated, though.
But yeah, it's just amazing that you get nominated that frequently. So
Well, she is fabulous.
and that's kind of how I feel about the Ursas too. It's nice to have the wins, but it's also nice to just be in the nominations so frequently. And that shows me that whoever ends up winning the category.
I don't think I've ever had anything directly nominated.
Yeah, you did. You had a short story from Heat.
Was my story nominated, or was just that issue of Heat?
No, Candy and Music was nominated.
Was it? I'll have to go back
Yeah.
and look.
Yeah, it was.
Because I know my X story wasn't, because the 2 stories from X that were nominated were.
Right.
Neither of them were mine.
No, that was yeah.
I'll go back and look.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. If I forgot, I don't mean to spit on the people who nominated me.
But yeah, and I think that's you need to be appreciative of the recognition and of the awards. But if you kind of make that your entire goal, then you lose some of the joy that you have in the work that you do, because all that you have control over is the work that you do and the effort you put into it and the pride you have in it.
Yeah.
And once you start basing your satisfaction on things that are outside of your control, like the vagaries of public opinion, or an award system that is set to go one way or another, or where in a year where you might be lucky enough to be a nominee in a weak field and win, or you might be unlucky enough to be a nominee in a very strong field in which, it just...
I have a confession to make about the Oscars. I care way more about the acting awards than I do about the director or like feature film awards, because the latter group just seems just way too political. Like The Hurt Locker, come on, that wasn't that good of a movie.
No. But even the acting stuff is kind of political. Like they give...
Oh, Scandal for Natalie Portman, did you hear?
Yes.
Or a minor scandal. I don't think it's going to really get any traction.
Did you...
Scandal?
Apparently people have thrown a hissy fit saying that, Natalie Portman didn't dance all of her own scenes.
Oh, I read that. Well,
and it was just and
she's playing a character.
and a bunch of people stepped in and said, actually, she danced most of it. And then people was like, she wasn't winning an award for dancing. She was winning an award for acting. And surprise, even though the movie's about dancing, most of the time she's on screen, she's not dancing. So shut your mouth. And people are like, the Academy was misled. It's like, no, they weren't. Shut up. She totally deserved to win that, too.
Did
Snap.
Did you see the review of Your Highness that I tweeted?
No.
It was a review by Vanity Fair. It was very amusing. I can say this, we're on an adult podcast.
Yeah.
It was basically like a question and answer to the reviewer, that the reviewer was answering questions about the movie, and it was things like, the title of the article was, "How many pedophile hand puppets are there in Your Highness?" and 24 other questions. So there's like a hand puppet wizard that they go to get something, who gives it to them in exchange for a hand job, which apparently he's been doing since the one character was a young boy. But then there's a series of questions about Natalie Portman where it's like, in Your Highness, how many minotaurs with an erect penis chase after Natalie Portman? Answer, 1. Didn't Natalie Portman just win an Oscar for Best Actress? Answer, yes. Question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how horrified is Natalie Portman's agent that she appeared in Your Highness? Answer, 8. It's very entertaining. And then it goes on to say, they're like, did you enjoy the movie? And he's like, well, it's basically just an excuse to put a lot of dick jokes and stoner humor up on the screen. And, as a Vanity Fair reviewer, my tastes are much more sophisticated than that. And they're like, but weren't you laughing at 7:53 in the theater? And he's like, I had some gas. And like, what about at 8:01? And he's like, no, the guy next to me just started tickling me for no reason, and I'm kind of ticklish, so... And they're like, was he still tickling you at 8:12? And he's like, okay, fine, I laughed at the movie. Sometimes dick jokes are kind of funny.
I'm going to be a bad gay furry here and say that if I were given the choice between Erect Minotaur and Mila Kunis, I think I'd have to pick Mila Kunis.
Yeah. I probably would too.
But anyway, why don't we go on to another letter so that we don't spend all our time talking about Natalie Portman.
Greetings, superior authors, because apparently we are Decepticons. First of all, it was the Axis of Awesome 4-chord song in the episode with Coulson. You guys called it the 3-chord song, and that bugged me. Did we? I could have sworn I said 4 chords.
I think
I may have misspake.
I probably said 3.
Whatever, they're Australian, they can't count. Second, I want to throw my hat into the Twilight discussion ring. Unlike Kyle, I have read all of the books, and I do have a couple of things to say. Stephenie Meyer can write. She has a great narrative, good prose, and a grasp on what a story should have. She does keep the tension up on every page, and from the moment you meet them, you know who the characters are. It's easy to become confused between which character is which in some books, and she does not have that problem. She is also very good at describing things. I think you could make a realistic sketch on Edward just from the details in the first chapter he's in. The problem with her books isn't really her writing so much as the subject matter. First, yes, this book is good for 13-year-old girls who want a trashy romance featuring undead emo vampires. Not for men, not for tomboyish girls, not for people who want a deeper story, and especially not mythical lore fanatics, and these are all the people who pick on it the most. Second, it takes a fairly well-known subject in mythos and completely changes that around. I can see where she was going with the vampire thing. She saw them as moving stone, basically. However, people did not really like it when you take something so well-known and understood and flip it around unless it's done really, really well. And even then, they sometimes still don't. Alright, pro tip, if you change anything, no matter how minor, nerds will jump down your ass for it.
Midichlorians.
Shut your mouth. You're not getting a pizza roll. finally, the story. The story is stretched out far too long. What she tells in her 3 books could probably be told in 1, maybe 2. She has 4 books. And the 4th book is just... Okay, the 4th book is just crap, no matter what point you look at it from. I've read a synopsis of Breaking Dawn. It sounds hilarious. Edward fucks Bella into unconsciousness, and then her unborn baby breaks her spine. That's hilarious.
That sounds pretty exciting to me.
I know. Her own characters change for plot convenience. Well, that's not only Stephanie Meyer's problem. And Bella is turned into such a Mary Sue... Anita Blake... that even God is like, hell no. And that's why she got crippled by her own fetus. These books play to the audience that likes them and nothing else. And sometimes not even then, apparently. It's to teenage girls what bad action movies are to most guys. Trashy, bad, but still enjoyable because it plays to what they like. Twilight discussion over. Twilight does not work that way. Or it
Well,
does,
thank you.
apparently.
I'm gonna just break in here and say I don't know that we need to discuss Twilight much more, but
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear those opinions echoed by someone else who's read the books.
Twilight discussion over.
Yes.
Thirdly, thanks to your viral excitement over... it's so weird. Like, I think viral, and I think about it in the internet sense, and not in the disease sense, which is what I think he means it here. Your viral excitement over writing and getting published. I too am putting pencil to paper and trying to write stories. Yes, literally. Okay. Oh, about putting pencil to paper. I was confused. I was like, you're figuratively trying to write stories? I work a lot, and having a notebook and pencil to write with during my breaks is actually fairly productive. Can you tell I didn't read this letter in advance? I almost like it better than typing on the computer, no matter what I'm... What I'm writing isn't proverbial gold, but seems to get done in a small span and on my computer, and the words flow so much easier, if not better. Of course, erasing and rewriting large bits is a bitch, but what can you do? Get a big eraser. My question is this. Have either of you guys written any of your stories, short or long, on paper before editing, and have they ever gone anywhere? Do you feel that writing on paper is different than on the computer? More or less productive, perhaps? Thanks for your time, friendly Dragon Derps, your twister of plots, Shiro. My response is pretty quick on this. I do not really write things out by pencil or pen and pencil, like by hand. I just can't really write for long stretches of time with like pens or pencils because my hand will just cramp up and my brain moves too fast for my hand to keep up at the rate that I write. I mean, I do have a notebook that I will take story notes on and like put down like, ideas, but I don't write actual story drafts like longhand at all.
Oh, well, I, on the other hand, I do write long-handed. The funny thing, I actually don't write in pencil, though. I write in pen, and they're the sloppiest, messiest things that you've ever seen. But I'm also an artist.
That's what she said.
Yeah, oh gosh. But I'm also an artist, and so I think I'm just kind of, I get into the sloppiness of it. That's what she said.
I was gonna say, wow, like I vowed I wouldn't do another one.
Get right into that, but
and how?
But I find it. I just find I'm more connected to it that way, I guess. And then when I finally do a type draft, it's really more of a it's because I'm revising it as I go along, and I change things as I'm because they're so messy. Sometimes I can't even read it, and so I have to make it up anyway. So it's a form of rewriting in that case. In terms of writing advice, I just would advise do whatever feels right. Another technique that I do, which I don't recommend to anybody, but this works for me, is I tend to talk out a lot of my writing, especially the dialogue, and that I think comes from my background in acting. But I just like to hear the rhythm of the dialogue and to get it, and once it sounds good to me, then I sort of transcribe it. I probably sound like an insane person if you had like a hidden microphone in there, but it it works for me. It's a highly inefficient way to write anything. So I don't know, again, that I recommend it, but I am satisfied with the with how things sound. But I do a lot of I tend to do a lot of like video based stuff and things where you hear things out loud anyway, and it's that's an important element. But I think that is good for fiction writing too, to have a sense of the rhythm and how it sounds out loud, because it scans well when you're reading it just on the page as well. So
yeah, absolutely. That's something that we've recommended before to people, is read your work out loud as you're editing it at one stage in the edits, because I invariably will, and I did this with Isolation Play, and I still, when I grab the chapter, there's things that I'll read out loud that I was doing readings in at FC and in New York, where I said, oh, this doesn't sound good when I'm reading it, and I would make minor alterations as I was reading it because it didn't sound right. So I'm all in favor of reading your work out loud, and you can't just read it mentally to yourself. You have to actually say it, because if you read it mentally to yourself, you take shortcuts and you don't really listen. You're just talking to yourself in your head. You have to actually say the words out loud and listen to how they sound and force yourself to say them. And that's how you
Love
get
can't
that.
save you, Padme. Only my new powers can. It's an actual line.
Yes, no, I know.
It's a horrible line.
But I think I've talked about this before. I have one notebook that has a longhand story written in it, which I write whenever I'm traveling and don't feel like getting out the laptop or don't have access to it. And
I really like the premise behind that story, by the way, from what you've told me.
oh, it's because it has an otter in it.
No, that's not why.
Okay.
I said
Yeah,
like the
it's-
premise, not the species. God, give me some credit.
I'm sorry. I was thinking you were doing the furry thing and confusing the premise with species.
Please, I read about species nobody's heard of. What's
But,
the wind thing? Use the Google.
But that story it's just coming along at its own pace, so nothing's come of it yet, but I also like the way it's going, so at whatever point it's finished, I'll do something with it, but I'm going to have to type it into the computer and re-edit it. The interesting thing about it is I think I filled up half the notebook, and it's like 8,000 words or something. I sort of tried to calculate how long it was going to be, and I thought, oh, it's going to be like 15,000 words, 20,000 words. And I'm like, no, 8. Like, wow, handwriting really is inefficient. But when I'm in the rhythm, I kind of like that rhythm because it's a little bit of a slower pace, so it gives me time to think about the text as I'm writing it and sort of think about what's going to come next, and it's easier to get into a long rhythm of writing than what I do on the computer, which often is kind of just short bursts, and then I catch up to my thoughts, and then I have to sit and wait.
Yeah, that rhythm doesn't work for me. The inside of my head is very much like how Jake Johansson described it. For guys, stuff's just happening all the time at like super frantic speeds. That's why I have to slow it down with alcohol so that I can be coherent. At least that's the excuse I tell everyone.
Like Sandy Koufax. Except he didn't use alcohol.
No.
All right, how about our last letter? Our
right.
guest will read our last letter.
Okay. Hello, worldly writers, Vulpine and Lutrine, respectively. I'm writing to you
And
on...
feline.
And feline. I'm writing to you on a very work-related topic, and I thought it fitting to wait to send this email to you until I had free time at work to write it. Awesome.
That's so meta.
Just before FC, I was hired as an intern for insert company you very well might recognize here, making packaging for such brands as insert lots of brands you definitely recognize here. This brings me up to working 40 plus hours a week and now taking 3 classes at night during the week. My personal time being at a premium, my writing pattern is undergoing change, whether I want it to or not. Stay tuned as whether or not this is a good change. Though it is fun when I occasionally have downtime at work to write furry porn and tell my coworkers I'm doing homework. Even though I know you two would never stoop to such as to write while you're working.
No, never.
Never. My questions are these. It is to my understanding that both Fox and Otter are employed. What kind of hours do you work? What kind of writing pattern do you find works best to keep generating material while working? Do you set aside long blocks of time to dedicate completely to writing when you have them? Do you write an hour at a time, 15 minutes between other tasks? And what are some ways you could stay motivated to write, even though from 9 to 5 you're not usually thinking about writing? A spectacular job at FC. It was amazing to meet you two, and the con was one of the greatest single events for my writing. For my writing in my life. Thanks greatly to foxes, otters, and fox/skunks. I appreciate all the time you dedicate to helping others improve their craft. Friendly tail wags all around. TJ Fulf.
I think that fox skunk was a reference to Rikoshi, who was not on the podcast, but was on several writing panels there.
Pick a species.
Yeah, seriously. At least he's not being like a Skox or something.
People who are too many animals at once are confusing, and you don't want anything to do with them.
Well,
how honest do we want to be here?
part of the reason that I picked this one to read while we have a guest on the program is that as I recently wrote on my journal, I am not actually employed at the moment.
It is to your misunderstanding that Fox and Otter are employed at the moment.
But we have not actually talked about that on the podcast, and I hadn't written about it before this week or last week or whenever the heck it was.
And to be fair, for the bulk of our writing lives, we have been employed. We're just not now.
Right, and we can speak to it. No, I talked on my journal about the fact that I'm trying. I have enough books out there right now that they're generating some money. Is it enough to pay a decent share of the bills? No. But is it enough to build from where I could see perhaps at some point in the reasonably near future?
It's a resounding maybe.
I could pay at least, I'm super qualifying this. But the sales of the novels and all of the kind of current stuff that I'm doing is enough that Kit has confidence in me that in a couple of years I might be able to help pay my way. As I've said on the journal, I probably will have to try to get another full-time job at least for another couple of years before I can step back from that.
Before you hit furry superstardom.
In the meantime, I am making full use of this not otherwise occupied time to cram I'm viewing writing as my day job, so I sit down at 9 and work until dinner time, and then in the evening if I have a chance.
You're making way better use of your personal time for writing than I am. I'll just say that.
But when I was working, I was thinking about writing during work.
Oh yeah.
I would always think about stories if I couldn't write right there. I'm thinking during my last couple years, I took to carrying around an SD card because all the laptops now have little SD ports.
All right.
So I took to carrying around an SD card that I would keep current versions of all the stories on. If I had an idea or like 15 or 20 minutes of downtime at work that I could type a little bit into a story, I would use it. But not everybody can switch gears that quickly. And that is something that I know differentiates Kit and I. Kit has to really get himself into a world before he can do anything creative in that world.
Yeah.
I kind of have all this stuff going on in my head, and so if I'm thinking about something, I can sit down and sort of switch gears and start writing.
Yeah, I'm more like Kit in that regard, where unless I have like a block of time to sit and write, nothing I try to write is going to be worth a damn. Like I need to like immerse my brain and basically like put myself into a different brain space where it's like now I am writing, which is why I have to do things like leave the house and turn off the internet, and like I'm bad at multitasking and I'm bad at task switching, and I'm also easily distracted. So like all of these add up to the fact that I'm not a very good writer in terms of like actually convincing myself to sit down and write, which is why even though I don't currently have a day job either, I probably write less in 1 week than you write in 1 day right now.
And I wonder, I don't know how you'd go about it, but I kind of wonder if there'd be a way that you could train yourself to switch better. Like if you could.
You can't teach an old daughter new tricks. I'm sorry.
That's what. No. Blender, what do you think about it?
Well,
ouch.
I can relate to KM a little bit where when I actually want to get work done, I usually try and leave the house and put myself in an unfamiliar environment, because it's easier for me to concentrate. But my favorite part of writing is actually the idea phase. Even if you're not physically writing, it's still, you're still coming up with, the seeds, and that's for me is very easy to do at work or when I'm listening to music or when I'm exercising or anything like that. I get and again, a lot of my stuff that I do now is primarily with video, and so I think in images a lot, and I'm also an artist, and so I have that angle as well. But it's for me the ideas are really easy to kind of hash around when I'm doing other things, and then when it actually comes to the hardcore, okay, I have to sit down and write this. Usually I try and discipline myself and remove unnecessary distractions. But speaking as to actually when I do it, I was talking about somebody just recently where my schedule right now is basically like. I work, I go home, I eat dinner, and then I fall asleep. And I wake up like around 11. And I just stay up all night, and then
I noticed that you always appear in the middle of the night, and then I never see you
and then I go to bed at like 4 or 5.
Because I'm always up until like 3, and you're usually still awake too.
Exactly, and then I go to bed at like 4 or 5, and then sleep for a few hours, and then wake up and do it all over again. It's very self-destructive. I do not recommend that. Everything that I do, don't do it. But it is just because for me, my most creative time is in the middle of the night, and so I tend to get a lot done when everything is just quiet, and I feel like I'm kind of in my own little zone. So that works for me. It's just kind of I guess just finding your own personal rhythm, and if you have to like KM and I to in many cases leave the house, that's definitely something to look into. Although there are not too many coffee shops open at 3 a.m.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like I have a bunch of free time. Like I have a giant basically anything from like 11 until like 2 or 3 a.m. I'm usually awake, and that's like time where I don't have anything set aside to do stuff. But I usually can't write then because A, it's too late to be anywhere where I can be writing, and also like my brain is pretty much only good for watching TiVo and playing Mass Effect at that point.
It's funny. Because I'm on vacation right now, and so I've been doing a lot of stuff just at the library. But I'm astonished that it's been so long since I was in college that I guess I just didn't really keep in mind like library hours. It's like they close early, like 6 o'clock. It's like really, I just want to
early.
Like I remember staying up, but I guess university libraries are different. I'm staying near Cal Berkeley though, but it's like I don't have access to their Wi-Fi, and so I can't really take it. But I love Cal Berkeley. Oh my gosh, I want to start jogging there and pretend I'm a student.
And I do think a couple things that you've touched on there. I'm a big advocate, and I keep thinking that I'm going to do a live journal post about this, of exercising, body as well as mind. And while jogging or working out or whatever, it's a great time to let your mind wander and think about your stories, because you can't write while you're working out unless you have a desk cycle or something, and you can cycle while you're typing. But I don't know that I'd recommend that. But
if you stop pedaling, the computer turns off.
Yeah,
I've gotten a lot of good ideas while jogging, actually. And you have the music going, and you're just in that kind of you're it's physical. It's,
right. And right now I watch TV while I exercise, but it is a great time to think about your stories. I think the other thing that you touched on, which is really good advice, is find out what works for you and just play to that. I mean, if you're most creative in the middle of the night, then finagle it so that you can be up during those hours. If it means you have to nap for 3 hours when you get home and then wake up to be creative and then nap again for another 4 hours, do that. One of the things that I've noticed is I'm not sure why this is, but I think it's because it creates a sense of isolation. I do write a little better if I'm listening to music with headphones than I do if, like, I have a little room upstairs where I write, and I have a little iPod player. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel the same.
It becomes ambient noise.
Yeah, it becomes sort of surrounding noise instead of being, okay, it's isolating me in this little world. So sometimes, even though there's nobody else in the house, or, you know, there's nobody else in the room, and I have the room to myself, and there's no other sound except what I put on the speakers, I sometimes just like to put the headphones on anyway, because it helped me concentrate better.
Yeah.
I love film scores when I write. Usually I try and find stuff without lyrics, you know, because I don't want that to interfere. My favorite one right now is the Tron Legacy
the
soundtrack.
new one?
Yeah,
it's
a
great.
pretty good
Yeah,
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Love that
I like
score.
that.
You know what else is good as the Gladiator soundtrack?
Indeed.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
It's Dead Can Dance.
Huh? What?
That's the group. The woman who did the Gladiator soundtrack, the songs on there. She's the lead singer of Dead Can Dance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought Gladiator
Hans Zimmer
Zimmer
was the composer.
Well, he
but,
was the score, but
Right.
the vocal, there's female vocal. She's
okay.
from Dead Can Dance.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a whole thing. Actually, this was before Kit and I were living together. Actually, we came up and were watching the Gladiator soundtrack, and there were all these extras about the music on it. And they said, you know, we heard this Dead Can Dance, and we said, we got to see if we can get her for the movie. And they like approached them through all these channels and ended up. So it was cool. So yeah, I think it's definitely, you can make it work.
Yeah.
And basically, it comes down to what we always say. You have to make time to
Yeah.
write, because writing is not going to make time for you.
Over the past couple of weeks, like, I've had like 3 or 4 people say like, "Oh, I don't have time to read anymore. Oh, I don't have time to write anymore." It's like, no, nobody has time to do stuff like
You have
that.
to make time.
You need to make the time. It's
Right.
not going to just appear. It's the 21st century. Get over the thought that you will ever, quote unquote, have time to do something, because you won't.
Right. And
Society won't let you. I'm sorry.
that may mean that you have to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
But, like, I have watched many fewer movies and read many fewer books than I would like to have in the last year. But I have also written fewer things than I would like to have, but I don't think I can really push myself to write more than I have been. I think I would terrify some people if I did, including Kit, and I don't want to do that.
Just think, if you're going to spend the next 3 hours TSing, just spend the next 3 hours writing porn. You'll
Yeah.
have something more to show for it at the end.
Exactly.
Plus, you know how good the writing is going to be.
And with that,
Oh, come on.
we would like
Like, none of y'all have ever been there.
thank Blender for joining us.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
It was fun, and glad you could chime in with your opinions.
Indeed.
Hopefully, you're enjoying your time down here in the
Hell
beautiful
yeah.
Bay Area.
Oh, love it, absolutely.
We would love to see you down here on a more permanent basis, of course.
I'm working on that, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
And where can people find your work, or find you if they would like to follow you?
Well, all of my contact information is on my FA account, so it's just Blender, like the appliance. And there's links to everything up there, and you know, I throw up my videos in my journal posts and stuff. I don't have a heck of a lot in my gallery right now, but I'm hoping to you know, scan some more of my sketchbook, if nothing else, just because I do a lot of sketching. I don't do a lot of finished work lately, and so yeah.
You did a wonderful piece for the Live Unsheathed show.
I did have a lot of fun.
Which we enjoyed quite a bit.
I did have a lot of fun drawing that. That was I actually drew that in my hotel room before I sketched it before I left, and then I flew home, and then I was so ill, like for a whole week I was just incapacitated, and so it just languished, and then I woke up and like, you know, I felt like it was another.
Oh, wasn't that
another
your first
time.
Furrycon?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it was,
your immune system would have been ill prepared.
We don't.
Yeah.
I don't think we've addressed that. But yeah, although I was here in the Bay Area for a week after that, and so. But you see, it's the incubation
Very
time,
ill.
I think.
There
Yeah,
you
right.
go.
See, so I was traveling. I had all, you know. So who knows where I acquired those filthy.
So
germs.
yes, check out his work as Blender on FA. You can find me as Kyle on FA, Kyell. I am Kyle
Like the
Gold.
appliance.
Yeah. I'm Kyle Gold on Twitter. I'm Kyle Gold on LiveJournal.
I am just Cam Hirosaki on LiveJournal, Twitter, and FA.
And
The other thing, I'm forgetting one.
There's something that we're on now that I can't. Something more recent, maybe. No, I think Twitter,
No.
LiveJournal, FA. I can't think what else. Facebook, yeah, I have a page on Facebook now. It's just look up Kyle Gold and like me on Facebook.
I started posting
Don't
my
poke
stories
me.
to So Furry again,
I won't poke
too.
you back.
I finally figured out how to make So Furry not rape my formatting into illegibility. So
Grape your formatting in the mouth.
God.
no. But
Yes,
yeah.
I'm Kyle on So Furry also.
Yeah, and I'm Cam Hirosaki.
And write to us at unsheathedpodcast@gmail.com. We promise we will get to your letters. We will
We have some fun surprises in store.
sometime in the next 2 weeks. We will be doing a lightning round, I hope, because we need to clear out that mailbox.
Kit's nodding enthusiastically.
Kit is waiting with bated breath to tell me something. We have exciting guests lined up who are going to be announced later.
Wow, this is news to me.
Like charades. So to say, as the lead out or the trail out. What is the trail out? Or what's the fade out?
Sign off.
The sign off. We'll do the questions from the small bit of WonderCon that did not
Oh, we're gonna. Okay, and now for your listening pleasure, we present to you the part of the WonderCon episode that did not get lost due to faulty technology,
It's like our version of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
except not. Okay, that'll do it. All right, well, we've got a bunch of people here helping us out. We have a helpful tech fox in Fraudus here. We've got Kit manning doing the management of the podcast, and we have a helper woozle who's going to go outside the booth and get questions
Onto the
for us.
wide world.
I know, it's
Yeah.
scary out there. There's
Outside
a
of my
ton
comfort
people.
zone.
It
So we
is.
appreciate his intrepid journalistic nature.
I will go as far as this cord can
Out there with
stretch.
neon pink Magneto and fat Wonder Woman.
Yes. Sadly, there's no 4-foot-tall Darth Vader at this con that I've seen yet.
Yet.
I did see a 4-foot-tall Darth Vader with a Tokyo Pop shopping bag that was almost as big as he was once. That was like 4 years ago when Tokyo Pop still was a thing at Comic-Con.
Yeah, that's still around. Him and Shonen Jump and
Yeah, they just kind of cratered.
yeah. That's a bummer. Anyway,
So-
yeah, we have a couple furries over here, presumably. Hey, we're gonna talk to you first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm Blender.
Hi, Blender.
So when I ask the question, should I shout it? Are they going to be able to, is it going to... Yeah,
You
okay.
can either say it
Like-
into
like
the
I'm on
mic.
Broadway. So, all right. So I'm just curious, maybe you've already talked about this, but when you come to more of a mainstream comic convention like this, what... What is the atmosphere like? Like, how different is it for you in terms of selling your product and just kind of talking up the whole furriness of it?
So,
We get a lot of people who are like, "Is this that thing I've heard about?" Like,
Yeah.
that's a big question, actually. And because people are like, "I think I know what this is, but maybe you can tell me." And we're not here to keep secrets. We're here to introduce people to furry fiction in the various forms in which it comes. And
at a FurryCon, it feels almost more like a family reunion. At a mainstream con like this, it feels more like a business. And because everyone in furry knows what these are about, so they want to know, where's the thing from Blotch, where's the thing from Husky, where's the things from Ursula, where's the things from whatever. The people here are just like, so what's the deal? And a lot of them are pretty open to it, and they'll say, this isn't really my thing, or I have a friend who's really into this. that was actually Sofa Wolf was kicking that around for one of their slogans for Comic-Cons was Sofa Wolf, buy it for your friend. But people, I mean, at Comic-Cons, people are pretty open to it. We get people walking past going, oh, furries. And yeah, like you said, they're kind of like, hey, this is that thing I've heard of.
Although, when you were going through, like, furries are saying, like, here's, things by such and such, a lot of people know Ursula Vernon.
Yeah.
Like, she's actually, like, when I noticed that, like, she's one of the people who aren't in the fandom still sort of know her work, which is cool.
She's kind of got 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the fandom.
Yeah.
She still comes to FurryCons. She's been invited, and she's happy to be part of it. But she's also got this whole other thing going on. So, and I think that's a healthy place for furries to be, is, acknowledge the fandom and embrace it, but also, if you can do some stuff outside as well, all that does is it brings people to the furry tables.
Not that you would know anything about that.
I do have another. So, cord. So, do you find, this in comparison to a furry convention in terms of selling fiction? Do you find that the ratio is any different in terms of selling your comics and versus the actual literary fiction? Or
people are definitely more interested in comics. Although I will say people are more interested in comics at furry conventions too, because it's such a visual fandom. Sofa Wolf's actually built up, and I've built up a fandom. A couple other authors have, and people are now more interested in looking for fiction, but it's kind of a discovery. People in the comics world come here to look for comics, and so that's what they're most receptive to here. Some of them are receptive to books too. There's some crossover, but generally people are more open to comics because that's what they come to this con for.
Thank you.
All right, looks like we have somebody else. You have a really huge audience this time. Much bigger than last year's one.
Yeah. Well, there's no fursuits this year. We have not seen any fursuits come by the booth.
I saw a fursuit when I was walking around.
We have not seen any come by the booth.
I did see two. There was
There's a wolf.
There's that. Cape. There's a wolf dressed as Batman who keeps taking off his damn head.
Oh, does he?
Oh, there was a werewolf here. It wasn't a fursuit, but it was like a werewolf.
It's like
costume.
werewolf Batman or something. And then there's that superhero horse. But
what?
Horses.
Wow. Okay.
So the mighty Mustang or something. But anyway, we got another question for you.
Hey guys, it's Jaded Fox again.
Hey, Jaded.
Jaded Fox 1 year anniversary.
What?
Jaded Fox 1 year anniversary for WonderCon.
So,
they're closing us down in 30 minutes. They can't shut us down.
You can't stop the signal.
They're trying to prevent me from asking a question, apparently. So I'm kind of curious. I know that KM, you're still working on Summerhill.
Yes, I am.
Kyle, what projects are you working on right now that you're allowed to talk about?
Well, provided we didn't lose the first half of this, I'm working on my Collations novel, which is my What Have You Done With Kyle novel. It's got magic and humans in it and no adult scenes. I'm also working on my new secret project, which I acquired over the last month of traveling. I am putting together editing on the cupcake that's going to come out in the fall, and the print version of Weasel Presents, which will come out in the summer. And I'm working on another project, which I hope to be able to say something about in a month or so. And then various other, things in my spare time.
So, KM, besides Summerhill, what are you working on?
Well, there is the secret project, which I have talked about a few times before. That's pretty much it at the moment, unfortunately.
Various unassorted porn stories.
That's true. I am going to continue to throw little stories out here and there. But I think I at least know what I'm going to work on after I'm done with Summerhill, which, that's something.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but I'm not working on it yet. I need to do Summerhill first. It takes a lot of effort.
Thank you very much. I can't wait to actually listen to the podcast so I can hear your answers a little better. Yes.
And I can't
We're
wait to
excited for
go
that, too.
and have large amounts of rum drinks with Jaded Fox after the podcast.
We're all looking forward to that.
Yes.
I've exhausted your entire audience. Should I start grabbing random people off the street?
Do you have any questions?
I know everything about you guys and what you do and
All right.
how you do it. You already. I haven't heard much of your stuff. Did you talk about New York already?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Well, that was awesome.
We had a bigger audience before, and then they all left.
They did. You got ditched by all your friends.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
did.
I promised I would give a special not shout-out to Joey and Reggie for leaving.
for ditching us right as we were going to
Yeah,
start
we're
recording.
going to start our podcast.
To
And
be
we're like,
fair,
we're
some
leaving.
of them did go to a rum bar early, so I mean you can't really blame
that's
them
true.
for that. Oh, okay, sure.
Hello. I do have one question for you guys. Do you ever plan on having Dick Power back on the podcast again?
We would like to. It's just a matter of scheduling. I mean, I anticipate maybe for FC next year, but
For what?
FC next year maybe.
To do what?
Have Dick Power back.
Oh, Dick Power. Dude, Dick Power was epic,
Yes.
It was.
as Blender knows.
Yes. And can't hear because he's beyond the zone of hearing our
Yes,
podcast.
he's outside the cone of silence.
We're talking about him and looking right at him.
Now he's even more confused.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd like to. We haven't. He seemed to have a good time, so I think it might be a fun thing to do again. But I think he really feeds off the live audience.
Yeah.
So I think it would have to be one of the live
I
shows.
don't know if the mountain bunker is a place where he can thrive.
Yeah.
It's like when you punch holes in a lid and you put a stick in there and like, there you go, jump around, little
It's an
frog.
environment, right.
It's like,
Nice comparison.
yeah.
All right.
Have you guys talked much about the Ursa Major nominations?
Oh, we forgot to talk about the Ursa
we
Majors.
haven't. So
I'm
yeah,
not, I'm not nominated for anything.
One of you was nominated for things.
the Ursa Majors close April 17th, I believe, is the last day to vote. You can vote just by going to the website. You need the key that you got to nominate. If you did not nominate, shame on you, but you can still get a key to vote.
It's a very simple process.
Yeah. My novel Shadow of the Father is nominated, Bridges is nominated, and my out-of-position bonus story, False Dawn, is also nominated. Anything else of note? Oh, the FBA.
Yeah, the
is
FBA, which I'm
it's
at
got a
least
nomination.
tangentially involved with.
And we really support them because
Yes.
it's the only furry-created game that's nominated. So we really hope you guys will get out there and support them and vote for it.
Yeah, in that category, it shouldn't be a question. Everything else
Yeah.
is like some random video game like Rocket Knight on XBLA. It should be the game that's created by furries for furries.
Right. Exactly.
It's not up for debate.
Although, hey, that Rocket Knight XBLA game is pretty good.
No, it's great. It's
Yeah.
fun. But come on.
Don't undermine your own arguments.
I'm not undermining anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vote for FBA.
There's a lot of good stuff nominated. The other thing that I think I talked about, I still haven't verified this, but we have 6 novels nominated, and I believe all 6 of them came from within the fandom. This might be the first time in Ursa Major history that we've had all the novels come from within the fandom.
So, congratulations, us.
So yeah, go us. And I just hope we continue to write and continue to put stuff out there and start seeing furry novels show up on other recommended sites and
Yeah.
things. I mean, it's great to have our own awards ceremony, but we were doing some pretty good stuff here. I'd like to see it noticed.
That said, 0 of the TV shows and movies are by the fandom, so
I know. Get
to work,
on that.
slackers.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, if only we had somebody around here who does a TV show or does video production.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I guess he's not. He can't hear us now.
We'll grill him later.
Okay. Just for future
Remember what I
reference,
told you about
Blender,
making
when you
fun of
listen to
people
the
who can't
podcast,
hear
we're
you?
calling you out.
Oh, good.
What was that?
I said, remember what I told you about making fun of people who can't hear you?
I know, that's the best time to do it, right?
Or unless you're Dick
We're not
Power, in
making
which
fun of
case,
him.
make fun of you right to your face.
Yes. We're not making fun of him, we're just calling him out. Yeah, so
That happened.
So what else? We could wrap it up.
I think Kit would like it if we wrapped it up.
Kit has given us the nod, so
Yeah.
thanks to all the people who came out to see us at WonderCon.
Yeah.
Whether or not they stuck around for the podcast, Reggie and Joey, and thanks to our Tech Fox for helping out here, and to Kit for bringing the whole darn setup, and to Sophos for letting us use their booth.
And Microphone Woozle.
And Microphone Woozle, which we appreciate.
First Church of Microphone Weasel doesn't have the same ring to it.
No, not quite.
I just appreciate none of you doing an imitation.
So, anyway, I'm Kyle Gold.
I'm Cam Hirosaki.
And good night, and keep writing.